All right. Hello, everybody. We are live. I'm here with Forrest from Hishoshi. Let me make sure. Yeah, it looks like we're live. Look at that. Can you say something to Hishoshi so I make sure?
How's it going? Thanks for having me on. Can you hear me?
Yep. Okay. Everything is good. Hello, guys in the chat. I'll try to watch the chat today, but not 100% sure. I got a new little YouTube logo. If you guys have noticed, I had some really sweet artwork done on Twitter by at Alada underscore money or either money underscore Alada. Excuse me, can't remember for 100%. But yeah, so we're going to talk news today. We're going to talk Fresh Five stuff. We're going to talk main stories of the day, and then, who knows what we might get into. But for you guys that don't know, like I said, this is Forrest from Hishoshi. Tell them everybody where they can find you at, and then we'll get started.
Yeah, for sure. You guys can find me on my YouTube channel, Hishoshi. The link is Hishoshi4. So you go to that youtube.com/c Hishoshi. You can find me there. Do a lot of educational crypto content like my man BitBoy here. And I'm stoked to be on the channel.
Yeah, of course, man. We gotta have you on the podcast. We gotta get you scheduled on the
Yeah,
podcast
I have
too.
a beard. Am I not good enough for
You are
beards?
good.
Man?
You are good enough. You're good enough. People like you.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, cool. Diet root beer kind of day. That's right, guys. Diet
Yeah.
root beer, the soft drink of champions.
I
Tastes
didn't
just.
get the diet memo. I've got the full carb, full fat, actual beer going on right now.
Yeah, we don't do beer here on the channel. We just do diet root beer. So,
Gotcha.
yeah. Well, let's get
Word.
into it. Well, let's start
Sounds good.
with the number 5 story of the day, which is there is a new app, and hold on, let's see if I can pull it up here real quick. What the name of it is? The name of the app is called Fold, Fold, and it is a web app. And through there, you are allowed or you're able to buy pizza, I think through Domino's, through the app. So, what do you think about that? Do you think we need more? Do you think we need more ways for people to spend their crypto? Do you think this is a good thing, or do you think that maybe it's better just crypto as a stored asset instead of something you spend?
I mean, honestly, I think, if you harken back to that story that a lot of people mention where that
Right,
guy bought like a Pizza Hut pizza that would be worth like thousands and thousands of
Laszlo.
dollars. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's cool. I mean, is it kind of gimmicky? Absolutely. But I think the more those types of stories are very accessible to people. And those are the types of things that get out there and they're like really shareable. So I think that's good for the space from an education perspective, people understanding that it's out there and what the benefits, the potential uses are for crypto. I mean, I don't know if it's like buying pizza is the killer app, but I think showing off Lightning Network is especially good because it shows that Lightning Network is good for, those quick one-off payments that you want to make between you and a shop or you and a friend rather than going through that layer one, the main blockchain. So I think it's good for the space overall.
Yeah, so it is a Lightning Network app. I did forget to mention that. So the Lightning Network has been kind of all over the news the last couple weeks. Have you seen any stories about it?
Yeah, it's been up and down, and especially, the whole lightning torch thing going
Yeah.
around on crypto Twitter. I think that's been interesting to watch that unfold for sure. But I think as usual, it's like the maximalists and people who are not quite maximalists, and then other people who hate Bitcoin just going at it, and it's definitely comical to watch for sure.
Yeah. Do you think so? For people that don't know, you have a developer background, or you are
Yeah.
a developer. You're still building on Ethereum, correct, with your
Yes,
job?
sir. I mean, I've branched out some. I
Right.
was actually on a call with some folks from Cardano yesterday,
Oh, really?
Embargo, talking about Plutus smart contracts. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there for developers now to get started. I remember when I was first starting to learn this, there was like nothing. There was no documentation really,
When
and
was that?
over
How
time,
when did you start?
so I really started developing anything of any quality whatsoever, like a couple years after Ethereum kind of came onto the scene.
Okay.
So, I mean, I played with it, but until documentation started coming in, because I mean, I like to think I'm a good developer, but I'm no genius. So I needed some stuff to learn from.
Yeah.
As more dApps got built and more documentation came out, I kind of started to build my knowledge and skills on the Solidity stuff.
It's interesting. I guess I've never sat and thought about how does a computer language like Solidity or a programming language, how does somebody create an entire programming language? Like that's they just
Yeah.
make it from scratch. And who was the
Yeah.
developer of the code? I mean, that wasn't Vitalik, was it, or was
And
it?
those are the talented people. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not just Vitalik. I mean, he created the protocol that is Ethereum, but I think I know that he contributed to the creation of Solidity for sure, but it takes an army to make
Yeah.
a language. And even still, Solidity is nowhere near in a complete state, in my opinion. There's so many issues with it, and it's not as usable as I would like. Um, I mean, I've just the other day, I was running into an issue with Solidity that I'm, looking at other programming languages and stuff. That's just not a limitation that you have. So I reached
Yeah.
out to some folks on GitHub. They're like, "Yep, that's a known issue. We can't do that yet. So
Wow.
sorry." It happens, and it's going to take time for them to get digging into those little bugs and issues and nitpicks that developers have, for
Yeah,
sure.
that's a whole different world for me. I can't. I tried learning to do like JavaScript code at some point, but I was just like I can't. When you start trying to learn how to code and develop, it's so like even the most simple things are really daunting. Like
Yeah,
I remember this course I was taking. It was trying to show me how to make like a real simple kind of choose your own adventure game, and I was like, it's going to take
yeah.
me 6 months to learn how to make the most simple thing I've ever seen in my life. So I was like, I'll just spend my time doing other stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I think I try and tell people, like, if you wanted to get started with developing smart contracts, there are a lot of ways to do it. It's getting really good at it and understanding all the pitfalls and optimizing for gas and making sure that all the loopholes are closed, because hackers are good at what they do. That stuff's really hard. I mean, building something that works, in a closed environment, that's pretty easy, and you could do that without like years and years of coding
yeah.
experience. But building a dApp that's ready for prime time on a public network, that's no joke. It's
Well, and
definitely.
that's why, I reported on this earlier this week. There was basically a Reddit post where people were attacking dApps and saying, like, right now they're all gambling dApps and Ethereum doesn't have anybody using them, which is, pretty true. But
Mhm.
I was like, I really compared it to the beginning of the internet and how, you know, I don't know how old you are. You're younger than me, but how old are you?
25.
You're a lot younger than me, yeah. So I'm 37. So when I grew up with the internet, well, first of all, I didn't grow up. The internet wasn't even a thing when I was in
Right.
elementary school. It didn't really start getting popular and really usable until I was in middle school. And when I was in middle school, we all started, we all used AOL, and we thought that AOL was the internet. We didn't even
Yeah.
realize that we didn't realize there was an address bar. You couldn't like there wasn't a browser. I guess you could use Netscape, but we didn't have Netscape on my computer. All we had was AOL, and like I compared it to this. It's like imagine if you thought Twitter was the internet. Like Twitter
Yeah.
was the internet. That was it. Like there was nothing else. There was no YouTube. Like if you thought Twitter was the internet, that's what we thought. We thought AOL was the internet. And at the beginning of those times, websites were horrible. First of all, hardly any companies had
Yeah.
websites. Period. They were like really hard to get to. Their search engines were terrible. I remember like Ask Jeeves. Now it's Ask.com. It used to be Ask Jeeves, and there was this little logo of this butler guy. And it was like this cool thing, like, oh, you ask the internet a question and it gives you the answer. It was just a
Yeah.
search engine. Like
That's
so
all. Yeah.
so all this rudimentary stuff that we were looking at back then, like where dApps are today, they're not even to that point yet. And people
No.
are killing them, like this is new technology. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'm with you on that. I think, I mean, even I think after the Constantinople hard fork, and I've got someone in the chat here saying, it must be so complicated to make a fork to update the whole protocol that is Ethereum. And that is so true. I think people forget how complicated all this is, because especially in old systems, you have a central spot where all the logic for the application's held, all the databases are held, all the user accounts,
Mm-hmm.
everything's all in one spot. So you update that and you make an update. Everyone's forced to do it. You can't choose if you want to update your stuff because you're pulling the app from somewhere else. And even on the App Store, after a certain amount of time, if you don't update your apps, it just shuts down. It's like you can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
On Ethereum, there's nothing there for anyone to enforce them or force them to update. So even if you get the code right, you can't guarantee everyone's going to do what they're supposed to do. And so that's when it gets really complicated. You have to build incentives in, like the difficulty bomb, or in that case, I guess a punishment for continuing to use proof of work. So that's where it gets really crazy. And you have dApps that all are going to break potentially, or all be vulnerable. And that's what happened with Constantinople. They introduced not really a bug in the code. It wasn't that the code was wrong. It's that there was a potential vulnerability because of the gas, the way that gas was calculated and the way everything became cheaper to execute. And that's where I'd be terrified if I were a protocol developer for Ethereum. Everything I do, even if I write good code, could blow everything up. So
Yeah.
Not an enviable spot.
We're still in a very fragile system right now. And speaking of fragile systems, to move on to the number 4 story of the day, which is so Coinbase has a bug bounty, right? A lot of projects have this. Coinbase has it. It's basically where if you find a bug, you report it to them, they'll fix it, and then they'll send you money. So most of the bugs have been, between $1 and $1,000, right, for finding. Well, They just released the fact that they just gave away $30,000, by far the biggest amount, to a person who found a bug on Coinbase. And Coinbase will not talk about what the bug actually is. But supposedly, it was a huge vulnerability. And I guess it just kind of brings up the fact, now they have fixed it. It's fixed. But, a good thing that was, let's say, a white hat hacker, which you guys don't know the difference between white hat and black hat. Basically, a white hat hacker would be a person who finds, trouble with code but isn't trying to exploit them. And then someone who's a black hat hacker would be someone who's looking to exploit code for their own gain.
Yeah.
So luckily it was someone who found it and wanted to be part of the bounty program, and not someone who wanted to attack that vulnerability. And with us not knowing exactly what that vulnerability was, it's kind of scary to think that Coinbase had some big thing that could be exploited. So what's your perspective on that? And are we really safe with crypto right now?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think the same advice rings true for everybody. It's don't let your crypto sit in exchange.
No.
The safest it can possibly be is in cold storage, and that's just across the board always. But I think for Coinbase, people may look negatively on that they're putting out, hey, I think we have bugs. Can you guys help us find them? I think when you're the person who's building code and you build this like enterprise worth of code, it's really hard because you kind of go blind to the code you've written and you just can't find stuff anymore. Like you can't find stuff that's wrong with it. So I think it's good that they're doing this, and I think it's good that there's bug bounties out there. They have the money to pay. So I say, why not? It is concerning, though, when you see a catastrophic bug found that they didn't see. It's possible that it's something with authentication or credentialing. God knows, it could be something related to key storage or something of that sort, because it's a slippery slope.
Yeah, that's definitely what's scary. We got a couple people in the chat saying hey to you. Crypto's Chain is saying hello. So we got Jalen in here. Ed, Dr. Ed, my buddy, is in here. Self-made. Let's see who else is in here. There were Crypto Numbnuts. Mike Measy, Robin, all people of the Bit Squad. Crypto Rex is in here. So I want to say hey to everybody. I'm trying to watch the chat over here. So what's up, Rolex? Good to see you. So yeah, when it comes to that kind of thing, I totally get it. It's like when you stare at it so long, it's hard to find.
Yeah.
So I recently, I've been working with one of my friends. He has a car dealership, and I've been doing some online advertising for him and different stuff. And we're trying to get into Turo. Have you heard of Turo?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ironically, the lead developer of Turo, he has the handle on Twitter @BitBoy, and I really want to try to get that from him.
Dang, man.
Yeah, I know. So, but anyways, it's a totally separate story. But I've been working on Turo, trying to upload some cars for him and stuff. And I was looking for this one setting, and it was a really simple setting, and I've been looking for it for days. And I was finally like, dude, do you know where this setting is? He's like, oh yeah, it's on this page. I was staring right at the page, and I could not find it. And yet, then he said, oh no, it's at the very top. It's right above this thing. And I was like, holy crap, I've been looking at this page for a week trying to find the setting. I've been on this page 900 times, and I couldn't find it. It's like sometimes your eyes just grow numb to stuff. And so when I finally found it, I sent him a text. I was like, sometimes when I'm looking everywhere for my car keys, I realize they're in my pocket.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the
Yeah.
same thing just with code. I mean, it happens to everybody. And I think for a project, and it is a project as large as Coinbase is, because they're continuously building things, I think it's smart for them to put out, bug bounties and try and
Oh, for
find
sure.
some of this stuff. What gets concerning though is sometimes bug bounties become like subcontracting gigs where they're like, we know there's a bug, we just can't find it. So can you find it and then help us
Interesting.
fix it? That's when it's concerning, because then they don't have the team in there that can find those things and build it right the first time.
Yeah.
So there's a fine line between what's cool and what's kind of not cool, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of bug bounties. I think they're good, for developers or for hackers or anybody to try to get in and try to make sense of code and try to get things fixed where there's not vulnerabilities. To me, the just crazy thing about this is they won't release what it was, and it's
Yeah.
up to 30 times bigger than they usually give for good bugs.
Yeah.
So
So, I mean, I would say the worst possible bug in something like Coinbase would be like a hash collision or some sort of problem with key vault storage.
yeah, that's what I was a little concerned about.
And look, I think there's always a concern. No matter how well developed and well established an exchange is, there's always a chance that something like that's going to happen, and you kind of have to be prepared for that. So
Yeah.
if you're in an exchange and you're in there with like your whole portfolio, just move as much of it out as you possibly can. Leave some in there if you want to do, some daily trading, whatever, more power to you. But I wouldn't keep your life crypto savings sitting on an exchange.
No, and that brings up another story that I talked about this week on my channel that was pretty interesting, which is, Coinbase. Let me look this up real quick. What was the name of the Coinbase wallet before they named it the Coinbase wallet? Do you remember?
Wasn't it Toshi?
Yes, yeah, it was Toshi. That
Yeah,
was it.
Toshi.
Yeah, it was Toshi. So Toshi was the wallet, and Coinbase bought it and rebranded it as the Coinbase wallet. And so when I'm talking about Coinbase wallet, it's not your wallet per se on your on Coinbase.com. It's separate. Like, it's actually a Coinbase wallet where you own your private keys. And they recently released the fact that they're now going to be adding where you can possibly store your private keys through Google Drive or iCloud. What
Oh
do
my
you
God.
think about that?
I think that's just probably. I mean,
It's insane.
look, from convenience perspective, fine. From all security perspectives, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. I mean, that's basically like saying I'm going to take, like, emailing yourself your private keys in raw format and just leaving it in your Gmail
Yeah.
and being like, all right, I'll find them later.
Yep.
I mean, if you think back to, when was it? Maybe was it like Oscars or Grammys one year, like a few years ago,
Oh,
where everybody was on public Wi-Fi, and that's when a bunch of people's like private photos and info got snatched, because iCloud is only secure from certain points of entry, at all times. Every infrastructure has holes, so I would never trust cloud infrastructure unless it's built as a vault, a key store vault, and then, again, that's also centralized. So do you trust it? That's always a question to ask.
Dr. Ed said 1234 is the combination to my luggage. I'm gonna make sure to come get that from you.
I'm writing that down.
Yeah. Well, they said that they said it's encrypted, or someone told me that they believe that the private key storage is encrypted, but it doesn't matter. I mean, if you can access it, then somebody else can.
Right.
What do you think? The thing that blows my mind about it, honestly, and we have another Coinbase story coming right after this, but what do you think about Coinbase's role in trying to push this? Like, where's the common sense from Coinbase, like, to do this? Like, these are people that are professional in crypto. You would think that they would know this is a bad idea.
Yeah, and I think I'm not gonna like start propagating conspiracy, because that's not my thing.
Yeah.
But I do think that they probably understand the risks. And look, you can do a lot of things to make it more secure. Like, you can encrypt, you can have access control, you can, have everything stored separately. I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff to make it a little harder for hackers to find what they're looking for. But I also think that they're trying to reconcile like the far side, which is ease of use, and then the other side, which is decentralization and like security. And it's really difficult to find a happy medium between those two things. So I think they're probably saying, what's the barrier to adoption? Ease of use, among other things. Scalability, whatever. Ease of use. Oh, okay, we can do that by making it easier for people to create a wallet where they can store stuff, where it's not a custodial account, but we can make it easier for people to store their keys.
Yeah, I understand that. I mean, definitely ease of use is something that's got to be worked on. I mean, there's no question about that. And I understand like what they're trying to do, but I just don't feel like everybody, unless you've been hacked, which I have been, or phished is technical term, obviously. But, you know, I was phished and it was really stupid and I fell for it. Basically, it was a place doing KYC and they asked for a signature from my Ether wallet. They didn't ask for private keys. If they would ask for the private keys, I would have been like, well, duh, you know. And this is almost, well, relatively close to about a year ago.
I remember when you tweeted about it.
Yeah, it was a bad situation. I mean, my heart sunk. I opened up my Ether wallet and was like, oh, it's gone, you know. And I don't feel like a lot of people really understand the responsibility that comes with being your own bank, you know. And when you get hacked, you'll understand it. So that ease of use is one thing, but you know, the responsibility for yourself and the lack of convenience is really what it's going to take for us to actually become there's going to be growing pains in becoming our own bank, you know?
Yeah. I mean, there were pains in the creation of banks in the first place. So it's not a linear trajectory where you just, okay, yeah, we figured it out. We're done. You know, there's going to be ups and downs. Well, I mean, the same sort of thing has happened. You know, I've heard a lot of people doing giveaways on Twitter where, you know, you say, all right, this is the winner, you announce it, and then they message you, but it's someone else pretending to be them. There's like an apostrophe in their name.
No, here's the common thing. This is it. This is the thing that is impossible to detect. It's when they change an L to an uppercase I or vice versa.
Yeah, it's really hard to
cannot tell. You can't tell. It looks the exact same. So, you know, and this is, if anyone, people have tried to get me with that. I've fortunately never given a giveaway to the wrong person, but how I've kind of like went around that is now, like I just did a contest, right? I gave away $36 and people were super excited about it. It's so crazy. Like on Twitter, it was 10,000 BitTorrent tokens I gave away. And if you tagged a friend and you won, I gave your friend 2,000. And so it's $36. But you know, 10,000 BitTorrent tokens could be worth triple digits one day, you know.
Accumulation, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I remember I gave away a Neo when it was $140 and now it's worth, you know, $10. So, or whatever Neo's at. But regardless, here's the way you get around that. Before I announce the winners for my contests, I message the winners. And so that way I know that when they respond back to their address, I can see the thread where I sent the original message. So, you know, they've even gotten pros, which is so crazy what people will do to try to scam me out of $12. You know?
Yep, I feel you on that. It's just people just like free stuff and they'll do whatever they can. I mean, I did a live stream, the first live stream that I did with Crypto Zombie, like way back.
I remember it. Yeah.
I was so pumped. And then afterwards, I mean, we had talked before that and, you know, whatever. K-Dub's a great guy. But someone had at Crypto Zombie on Instagram, the handle. And so shoot me a DM. They're like, hey, man, great live stream last night. You know, mention stuff from the live stream, which is pretty compelling. But first of all, they're like, all right, so I'm trying to send a payment to this company really quick, 3 Ether. Can you hook me up? I know you have a lot of Ether. I'm like, I don't really have that much, but okay. And so I sent him a Telegram and I'm like, hey, just doing a quick KYC check on this Instagram. Is that you asking me for Ether or is this a scammer? And he's like, nah, dude, that's not me. Because they're very sophisticated and they'll go in, they'll find out like information that makes it more believable. So little story there.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy what people do. I mean, I'm an admin of the Busto Telegram group, and it's like they haven't even launched their ICO yet or whatever, and you know, they did the crypto influence retreat, and I'm a influencer advisor for them. And, it's just so crazy, like, how many people come in that chat room pretending to be influencers. And I know immediately that every single one of them is not real, because the way they say it is so weird. It's like, had one pretend to be Crypto Crow yesterday. And he's like, hello, I am the famous YouTuber, Crypto Crow. I'm the famous YouTuber, Crypto Crow, and I will bring much media attention to your project. Please PM me for price details. And I'm like, what the... You got to be kidding me. Like,
good one.
Yeah, good one. Who are the people? I had somebody pretending to be Logan Paul.
That Logan Paul is all over Telegram.
Logan Paul. It's Logan Paul. Yeah, Logan. It's like, man, come on. Well, cool. Well, let's get number 3 story of the day.
Cool.
Continuing on Coinbase. Coinbase has made the decision not to list Bitcoin SV. And the reason for this is because they said that 90% of the social media mentions of them are the founder acting insane. That's what they said. So they don't want
internal memo. Can you, even if it's after this, share the link with everybody? Because if you guys haven't seen this article, it is like,
it's insane.
Mind blowing what they like internal memo at Coinbase about BSV. Pretty wild.
Yeah. Let me let's see if I can probably pull it up right now and send it in the chat. Let me see if I can do that so everybody can check it out. Yeah, it's really absolutely insane. What Coinbase said about this. It's Bitcoin SV is a scam 100%, and that's it's really interesting. I mean, and I say a scam. I mean, I don't think it's it's not like BitConnect, but the price is all manipulation based, and it's all stemming from Craig Wright, who has a lot of money, and Calvin Ayre, which I think has even more money than Craig Wright. So, it's really interesting when Binance Coin passed Bitcoin SV and cracked the top 10 and pushed it out. Like, you can look at the hour that it passed it, and you see a huge spike in Bitcoin SV. Where they were trying, and they caught back up to the number 10 and then slid back down. But
it's especially now in this volume. And I'm not a trader really, so don't really quote me on any of this.
Yeah.
At this period of time, you have enough money, you can really make some visible changes to the market if you throw enough cash at it.
It doesn't take that much. I mean, relatively speaking, I don't have enough to do it. But
some of these big shots, if they band together, I mean, they can make stuff look a certain way. It's definitely possible, and it's not like again, it's not a conspiracy. It's just it is mathematically possible.
Yeah. So, what do you think about one thing that's been really interesting to me is how it seemed like for a long time Roger Ver was probably the number one villain of crypto.
Yeah,
I would say, and Craig Wright has managed to way surpass him and actually make him seem like a decent human being. So,
yeah, I was trying to think of an analogy before for what Roger Ver versus Craig Wright would be. I mean, can you help me think of like a superhero analogy where there's like a villain that's like just such a weak sauce villain when the new one comes? Like every Marvel villain, they just one up every time. Like we thought Roger Ver was bad. It's like, no, not at all.
Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I'd have to really think of that. I don't know. It'd be kind of like Loki and Thanos, maybe. Like Loki was the villain of the Avengers for a while, and then now like Thanos
That's a good one.
Makes him look like nothing. And
then Loki was actually like, I kind of picked the wrong side on this one.
Yeah. So,
that's almost too perfect. Yeah.
But I do feel like giving Craig Wright the credit of calling him Thanos would be like too much credit for him. So
I agree. I mean, and look, going back to the whole BSV Coinbase thing.
Yeah.
I actually respect Coinbase for doing that and making that decision, because I think thematically crypto projects have just been relatively unchecked in their claims overall. And I think anyone who sits there and claims to be Satoshi acts like a royal ass and then makes a project called Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. I mean, it clearly doesn't understand the entire point of Bitcoin, right?
He's such an idiot.
I mean,
it's unreal what an idiot he is. This guy, I mean, he's a cancer to crypto. There's a couple people that I think are cancers to crypto. I think Roger Ver, the thing that really irritates me about him is just the way that he markets Bitcoin and he manipulates new people in the space. Like they got Bitcoin.com, they got the @Bitcoin crypto handle. Like that really irritates me.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think his issues with Bitcoin and his issues with the crypto space in general is actually kind of like the politics of Bitcoin, the
Yeah.
politics. So I think there was probably something personal that happened between him and some other people. You know, they're involved in the the Bitcoin Foundation and stuff. And he just wanted to make, he wanted to kind of take the reins back, and he didn't have the opportunity to do it. Craig
Yeah.
Wright's he's like a bad person. Like, he's a liar, manipulator. I mean, I don't know, man. It's hard for me to really compare the two, because now Craig Wright has just become where he's so much more of a cancer than Roger Ver that I don't even give Roger Ver that much credit for being a villain anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I don't think that there's ever a time where no one, like anyone's past retribution. Like, who knows in 5 years where these people are going to be, per se. And of course, you go on crypto Twitter and you ask, where is this person going to be in 5 years? And it'll be like, you know, ruler of the world or prison, or there's nothing in between. It's like people just hate or love something. That's it. But I don't think anyone can really predict what's going to happen with some of the big names and the big personalities out there.
So, do you watch The Walking Dead by any chance?
I don't. I'm not cultured, man.
God, I love The Walking Dead. Somebody said that, or Crypto's Chain, or no, it wasn't Crypto's Chain. Who was it that said it? Let's see, where is it? I can't see it anymore. I don't see it. Maybe I'm crazy. But they said that it would be like the governor, which was a villain on there, would be like Roger Ver, and then Negan, who like killed a couple of the main characters by smashing their head in with a baseball bat. Like, that's Craig Wright, you know?
Yeah, public enemy, eh?
Public enemy #1. So, well, cool. Well, let's move on. Gosh, I want to give a person credit who said that. Who said that? I can't. Why do I not see it? Maybe I don't have all of the chat for some reason. But okay, let's move on to the #2 story, which is the delistings. There were delistings on Binance, including the two notable ones were Salt from Salt Lending, which is a lending platform, and then Cloakcoin was also removed. Let me see. Let me pull up real quick what the other ones were. I know you guys can't see this because of the overlay, but Substratum also, Modem and Wings. I don't know much about. I know Modem is a supply chain coin, I believe, and I don't know much about Wings, but Substratum is a really interesting one as well, because Substratum recently said that they were, which is so insane, that they were actually going to do day trading to try to build up their ETH supply that they gained in their ICO, which is, I know a good friend of mine was working with the ICO launch team that helped Substratum. They don't have anything to do with them anymore. And so like I don't have ties, but I got a friend who kind of has some loose ties to Substratum, and it's just, that thing has been a disaster for the last couple of months. So what do you think about these Binance listings, delistings? Do you know anything about any of the coins that got delisted?
Yeah, so a couple of my friends, that they were interested in Salt early on. And so, I mean, I looked into Salt a little bit early on in that whole ICO craze.
Yeah.
And I thought the idea was okay. The implementation was not great. There were people like stuck in KYC for like months. And then there were people who just put in stuff, like, apparently, no way of verifying this, that vested some of their crypto and then never got the loan.
Oh, wow.
Questionable stuff. Don't know if that's true or not. People could be lying because they're pissed. But here's the thing. I'm looking at the qualifications that they had for like why they would delist on Binance. And it's commitment of the team to the project, level and quality of development activity, network and smart contract stability, level of public communication, responsiveness to due diligence requests, evidence of unethical or fraudulent conduct, and contribution to a healthy and sustainable crypto ecosystem. Some of the problem that I have with some of this is that a lot of this is objective. So if someone at Binance thinks that a founder's comment is inflammatory and not good for crypto, they can just say, all right, you're off the exchange.
Yeah.
Like that is centralization at play. And that's like a censorship type of move. Is that totally wrong because they own the platform? No. But I think it just begs the question, what's the line between policing projects that could be a threat to people and doing that to an extent that could be damaging, and just removing projects when maybe they are an okay opportunity for people and they're not up to no good. So I think it's hard to determine that truly. And a lot of these qualifications, especially the contribution to a healthy and sustainable crypto ecosystem and like commitment of the team to the project, like some people might not like tweeting or might not like sending out weekly emails.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily an indicator to me.
Well, and the crazy thing about it is, you know, like a Binance delisting is pretty much a death blow to a project, in my opinion. What do you think about that?
I think right now it is because there's so much focus on Binance.
Oh yeah.
Whether good or bad. I think, and that rang true before too. It was like if you got on Binance, you made it. Like that was it. And yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I mean, when you got projects that are slipping, you know, and I know some people that were caught up in Cloak Coin that were doing some work with it, and all of a sudden I just noticed they stopped. You know, they stopped talking about it, and it was kind of out of the blue, and they were doing a lot of promotion, and then all of a sudden they just kind of backed away from it. So I knew something might have been coming in regards to them, and it's just, you know, I think we're finally starting to see the results of this bear market with a lot of projects. People have been calling for the death of many projects. I do think that personally, we talk a lot about this on our podcast. Go check out our podcast, Beards and Bitcoins. It was all about market sentiment and where we may be heading. And I think that we will see, you know, I do think we bottomed. And I think March may be the month we finally start going back up. There's kind of a perfect storm of things brewing right now between, you know, whether it's, you know, talks about the ETF, backed, Fidelity coming in March. Along with, I think, people maybe realizing that the bottom is already in. We've got JP Morgan getting involved in crypto, which isn't like, it's not great for crypto in general, but it does have some reverberating effects that, you know, just kind of speak to the confidence in cryptocurrency, I think. So all these things coming, like I think in March we might start seeing some progress on the way back up. And, you know, I think that a lot of these projects have been holding out until the bull market starts, thinking that they'll be able to survive. And then all of a sudden, maybe right before we start moving back up, now you've got Binance delisting a lot of these projects. And I don't think the bull market is going to save a lot of these projects. I think we're going to see even more of these projects dying in the bull market than we have in the bear market because they've kind of been, you know, just waiting for that Hail Mary, and I don't think it's going to come.
Yeah, I hear you on that. I also think that, you know, like the atmospheric like rocket ship launch that we had in 2017, I think made people, it like set the expectations like beyond the screen that I can show you. And so now, even when we get like a $1,000 Bitcoin pump, people are like, nope, it won't last. And it's like that sentiment, how small this market is, that sentiment alone travels far and people jump out because they freak out. I mean, panic in the stock market, which is a huge, huge pool of money, can affect things. So imagine that on this scale. It really adds up.
Yeah, it does. It's crazy. I am a firm believer that I don't think that when the market finally does go back up, I don't think we're going to see a lot of, I don't think we're going to see as many smaller projects moving up. I think we're going to see a lot of the bigger projects moving up further. That's what I envision for the next bull run. The way that it was said, like at Nitron conference, Tron was talking about it, which Crypto's Chain wanted me to ask you what you think about the BitTorrent token. So we'll talk about that in a second. But, you know, the phrase that they kept saying there, and after listening to their reasoning for it, like I really think I agree with this, is the winners of the last bull market are going to do much more winning and separate themselves in the next one. So what are your thoughts on that?
I think they have to. I mean, you look at projects like Ethereum, especially, that have, you know, a relatively large community and a lot riding on their success. They've made a lot of promises, like a lot of promises, and people have been patient, pretty relative to the normal attention span and patience of a person in this space. People have been patient with Ethereum in terms of the developments overall, so they have to deliver. But I think hopefully, and this is like, it might be a completely, you know, it might just be a wish and that won't come true. But I really hope that this is a lead with product, lead with quantitative success, and then the prices follow. This year I've made a concerted effort to like, I just don't really care as much about price anymore because that's not my wheelhouse. My wheelhouse is what is the tech doing? How are they building? Would developers use this to build stuff? Are people going to use it? But I think if that's the sentiment, people are like, show me the product and show me why I should invest in you, or you're not getting a cent out of me. Like, that's just got to be that skepticism that people should have, I think.
That's why I think Cardano is going to have a hard time right now, because their roadmap is so slow. They don't really have products out yet compared to a lot of their competitors. I mean, Tron's got stuff out, Ethereum's got stuff out. That's why I just, even Icon is coming out with some, I know we're both involved with a project that's on Icon. So, it's going to be hard for something that's developing slow to jump on board. Now you look at other platforms that are trying to come out now, and they don't even have any momentum behind them. They haven't, maybe they're launching ICOs, whatever. Like, those don't have a prayer, I don't think.
Yeah, it's tough. It really is tough. I think on paper, and also just based on the way that the market is right now, the gap between Ethereum and all the other projects that are gunning for that type of niche, that DApp ecosystem, it's very slim. Like, there's not a lot of difference. I think Ethereum has an advantage in community. Ethereum has an advantage in terms of number of developers that have built skills with Ethereum specific to Ethereum.
Yeah.
But I mean, Cardano, Tron, all of these other platforms have made, because they originated as forks of Ethereum or using the EVM or whatever, they've made it possible for developers to jump on and build stuff for them because the skills are the same. I think Cardano is in an interesting spot too, because I think they have 3 virtual machines built in different levels of completion, right? They have their like KVM, they're like basically the Cardano virtual machine that's based on Ethereum that can handle Solidity. That's cool. I think the money's in Plutus though. Based on what I've done, and I've gotten to build a little with Plutus recently, I'm not a Haskell. That's the programming language that it is. I'm not a Haskell guy, so I'm learning it as I go. But it actually works pretty well, and it makes the development process pretty easy. So I'm pretty stoked about that. If they can keep pushing out updates to Plutus and they keep doubling down on that, I think they have something. Just based on my first introduction to hands-on work with it.
Yeah, I think in my opinion, I think we're done seeing platforms. I don't think you're going to have any more platforms that are going to be able to really scrape and crawl their way up. I think we pretty much have what we have, and now it's just going to be those competing against each other. I mean, when I think of the main platforms, we have Ethereum, we have Tron, we have Cardano, we have Icon, we have Stellar. We're going to have the Codius platform from XRP, which I don't even know is functional yet.
Where do you think EOS fits into that mix? Do you think it's up there?
Oh yeah. EOS too. I mean, I'm not a fan of EOS. I don't like it. I'm not a Dan Larimer fan at all, and I think he's going to leave, and I think it's going to end up being about halfway finished, just like everything else he does. But that's just my personal opinion on it. I know that some people are invested, and I hope for their sake it works. But
yeah,
I don't think we're going to have any more platforms that are going to really be able to climb up in that top 20 range.
I think it's tough.
Maybe Neo. I think Neo's fading away a little bit, but
I'm interested to see what happens at Neo DevCon. I'm very interested. I wonder if Da Fei and Eric Zhang, if they're going to go up on stage and be like, honestly, it's going slower than we thought. Here's what we're going to do to fix it, or if it's going to be like, here's what we've done, and they drop a bombshell. I'm very curious, to be honest.
They're going to rename. They're going to combine Neo and Ontology and call it Neontology. Nontology. There you go.
Nontology. I don't know. That was just off the cuff, but I think who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? People have been telling me, hey, can you make a video about Neo? I'm like, yeah, but I'll do it after DevCon because I want to know what's going to happen.
Are you going to go?
No, I don't think I can go.
Yeah.
I have no
Seattle, right?
Travel. What's that?
It's in Seattle.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I was thinking about going. I'm kind of chilling out on conference. I'm going to Bitcoin Ben's meetup in April in Texas. That's probably the next thing I'm going to. So, Yeah, so let me ask you about what do you think about the BitTorrent token? Somebody wanted me to ask about it, and the GridX card. I don't know if you've heard of that, where you can spend
Yeah.
Tron and BitTorrent token. But really, what I want to get your opinion on is, there seems to be this narrative that the BitTorrent token is only going to be for people that want to download illegal content and do it faster on a system by which they've already been downloading illegal content for free. And that narrative isn't really true. But that seems to be the popular idea about the BitTorrent token. What's your thought on it from the kind of developer side?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that, and to be fair, I haven't done like a depth of research
Yeah,
on the implementation. I do like from the perspective of the acquisition and what the idea was behind it is almost like using it as a gas token for Tron, right?
right.
It's how can we leverage this to it's hard to even like tell
Seeding,
what
like
like
seeding and
or like tokenize storage and
yes,
download like upload and download speed and all that sort of thing. And like, so yeah, I mean, of course, illegal content's going to come into the mix, and of course, that's a factor. I mean, look, I understand the goal. I understand why they went down that path, and the concept is Tron lacking a gas token or something to measure bandwidth and
right.
other tangibles on the network. They kind of need that, so that was a strategic play. Whether or not it's going to work the way that they say it is, that's not really up to them, to be honest. I think how people use something is really, really up to them.
Yeah,
I mean, look, like full disclosure, I'm not a big fan of like the whole marketing play and like the way that the whole BitTorrent token thing went down. I mean, I don't really, I'm not the type of person who like says this project is dead to me forever and be like, without any information, be like, yeah, that's a scam. Don't do it. I just don't love the marketing thing. That's a personal preference.
well, it's funny you say that because I've been saying for weeks now that the reason why people hate Tron, or that's not true. The reason why people hate Justin Sun, if you look at a lot of the big names that attack him, they're all developers, and they don't like that he's a marketer. You know,
Yeah.
and
I
he
mean,
seems
he's
to be
got
pushing marketing above. I don't know for sure that he doesn't know how to code or develop, but I don't think that he does.
doesn't
Um,
seem like it,
doesn't
but who
seem
knows?
like it. Yeah. So I mean, you got like Charles Hoskinson and Vitalik attacking him, and I just think that their marketing strategy is really, really, really aggressive, and people don't really like that. I
Well,
like
that's
it. I think it's
interesting.
fine. I mean,
So Baby Whale Crypto just mentioned Justin Sun used to work at Ripple. Is that the case, Baby Whale Crypto, or is that just a joke? Please tell me, because I
no,
didn't
he did work. He did work there. Yeah, yeah.
didn't know.
Supposedly at some point he claimed to be like the CEO of Ripple, and so
Look,
people
yeah,
that's one of those things that people don't like about him. They say he's a liar and different stuff. So
and I get like, yeah, people saying Justin claimed he was CEO of Ripple.
yeah,
Honestly, that's the thing. Like, I have a problem with Justin Sun. That's just the truth. Like, he annoys me, and I think his marketing play and like the way that he goes about it's just kind of foolish. Um,
but is it foolish, or is it a preference that people don't like an aggressive
well, that's what I
marketing?
mean. I think it's the outcome is what he wants. So, I mean, it's not foolish from the perspective of does it work? I think it makes him look like a goofball, and that's a kind word for it. But um, yeah, I don't know. I think I also think though that the idea that we should be like, okay, well, because we don't like the CEO or we don't like the marketing play, that we're going to make bold proclamations about the code or whatever else. The reality is that I don't know of a project out there right now that really has everything solved and figured out, including from a marketing perspective. I mean, it's hard for anyone to sit there and be like, we're going to compare you to this crown jewel of a project,
Yeah.
because I think everyone's trying to figure things out overall.
We had a comment in the chat that said that no, Justin Sun never worked for Ripple. That is actually not true. He did work for Ripple. You can go to the Wayback Machine, which is the Internet Time Machine, and go back to February 7th of 2014, and there's an article from the Ripple Labs website that lists new employees, and it says Justin Sun, communications manager, China. Don't know if you guys can see there. Look at the glasses. Look at the glasses.
Jeez.
Old Justin Sun. There it is, your proof right there. This is March 27, 2014 was the snapshot. So it says, engages with and acts as a resource for existing Ripple users and drives broader adoption in China. Freelance writer both for U.S. and Chinese news media, including Bloomberg Businessweek. Launched a media company called Three Fellows to educate Chinese students about different perspectives on news and world issues. Longtime Bitcoin and Ripple community member. Recently earned his master's in political economy from Penn University after completing his bachelor's degree in history at Peking University. Favorite things, going to games, golf, and travel. There's your boy Justin Sun. So that is actually the truth. He did work for Ripple, but supposedly he did claim at some point to be the CEO somewhere. I know he wasn't the CEO, obviously. Like, I'm not saying he was. I think there's a rumor that said, or I don't know if it's a rumor, somewhere somebody says that he claimed to be the CEO. So I'll have to look into that and find out where that is. But people don't like him. Yeah. Here's the thing. I think if you're a Cardano person in the Cardano community, you know, it's very hypocritical, in my opinion, for people to criticize Justin Sun for what he does, and then at the same time criticize your own project for their lack of marketing. And it feels like that's something that, you know, the Cardano community, you know, has been pretty aggressive with the fact that they don't think that Charles Hoskinson has done enough to market it. And then yet they turn around and they criticize Justin Sun for the way that he markets. And you can't have it both ways. You know, like, yes, he claimed that, what is the name of the company? Not Baiwu, or I can't remember the name of the company. It's like one of the biggest Chinese companies, you know, that he claimed they had a partnership and it was just like they were buying storage from them, you know?
Yeah.
So people don't like that, and I get it that people don't like it, but at the end of the day, it's working. Tron has muscled its way up to the top 10. And you know, the BitTorrent acquisition, it was a huge success for them. They made as much money on the token sale. They made more money on the token sale than they spent to buy it. So they're playing with house money right now with BitTorrent token, which is pretty incredible. And so I don't know. We'll just have to see what the end product looks like. You know, I mean, they want to make they want to make a meta. What do they call it? The metaverse, which is like, you know, from Ready Player One. Like, Tron wants to make one of those. Like, there's a lot of stuff they want to do, and we'll just have to see if it all works. I've said a lot of times, like, I think Tron is to me, out of all the projects in the top 10, it's got the most potential for gains, but it's also probably one of the most risky ones as well. Like, it could totally flop once, you know, the product comes out and everything. To me, the tell of the tape is going to be the streaming service that they're coming out with. If the streaming service they come out with is a hit, and a lot of people think it's going to be a hit in China and not really here in the U.S., but if it's a hit in China, then Tron is going to do really, really well, and it's going to buy itself a lot more time to continue developing. If that streaming service flops, Tron's going to start having a lot of problems on its hands. It also has the Tron Arcade coming out, which is going to be, you know, do you know anything about that?
I don't know what the specifics are, but I read an article in passing about it.
Yeah. So anyways, well, let's move on. We got to we were talking about Justin Sun working for Ripple, but the question is about Ripple, or the story about Ripple right now is Brad Garlinghouse came out and made a tweet, and let me read it for you guys real quick. Which is so funny, right? Attacking Brad Garlinghouse, attacking centralization. Let's see if you can see this on the chat. I don't know if you can see it on the chat window here. Well, almost. It says, as predicted, banks are changing their tune on crypto, but this JPM project misses the point. Introducing a closed network today is like launching AOL after Netscape's IPO. 2 years later, and bank coins still aren't the answer. So we have Brad Garlinghouse basically attacking bank centralization, which a lot of people would consider XRP to be right there hand in hand with them. So what do you think about this little feud that may be boiling between Ripple and JP Morgan.
Well, look, I think this is really a result of the fact that all of Ripple's work to date was, we want to get into these places. We want to make them understand the problem with what they're doing now. We want to tell them, hey, you're still going to have an element of control. You're still going to have all these things you're used to. We're going to integrate with your systems, blah, 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 right? But you need to agree to use XRP as your standard. You know, everybody does the whole hashtag the standard, right?
Standard.
And so I think that XRP and like the Ripple community, I mean, there's obviously like a loose coupling between the two. I think all the XRapid team is like, yo, what's going on here? I thought we were gonna, you know, replace Swift and we're gonna unify all these banks. And so now it's like you've got this bank saying, no, we're gonna do our own thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Pissed. And I understand why. The truth of the matter is that there's this whole semantic argument about is it not a cryptocurrency because it's private, permissioned, whatever?
Or is it a digital coin?
It's like, what are you talking about? So for example,
it's crazy.
If I were to go and get an AWS instance right now, and I were to run a private Ethereum blockchain where I control who gets to go on, right? But there are still, let's just say I release 1 million tokens, 1 million Ether tokens on there. That's still a cryptocurrency. Even though it's private and permission and I have a say, it's still a cryptocurrency. So it's still hypocritical of Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, whatever, to release a project like this that, in my opinion, doesn't really have value. I've been racking my brain to try and figure out what value this would have for them in the settlement process and all that sort of thing. I can't find one. Because one of the main problems we have now is in settlement and using Swift, it's all fragmented and it's really slow and there's no liquidity, right? So if every bank creates their own private blockchain with their own unique cryptocurrency, what are we gaining here in like interoperability? Unless we're claiming that, oh, it's going to be a stablecoin atomic swap across countries. Fine, but I don't think that's
going to be pretty complicated. Yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, there's so much to it. You know, first of all, people may not know this. I don't know for 100% sure. Maybe you know, but I don't know for 100% sure that it's technically an ERC20. But it is. This coin is built on Ethereum. So for you guys that don't know, like, we use ERC20 to basically mean like all Ethereum tokens, but they're not all ERC20s. You have ERC721s. I think there's like ERC804, whatever it is, the one that the Engine Coin guy created for non-fungible tokens. But it's basically, for all intents and purposes, we'll just call it an ERC20. So how are you going to say it's a digital coin when it's built on Ethereum?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that what is the main point of this? Is this an attention grab, like a marketing play? I think that's what it is, really. I don't know that. Like, I can't think of an actual reason why right now, strategically, they want to do this besides let's get attention. If they can release some sort of information, which they haven't yet, that's the biggest like laughable thing. It's like, hey, yeah, we did this thing. It's called JPM. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really dope. You'll know nothing about it though. We're not going to tell you what it does. Like,
well, it's supposed to be internal, you know, like they say it's not going to be on Binance, you know, it's going to be for internal intents and purposes. And I'm slowly but surely starting to put together what all this means for crypto and XRP, because yesterday, you know, in my video last night, I said, look, I don't really understand this yet. You know, like, this has just been announced. The language that they were using, like they're going to use it to settle payments with their wholesale clients. I don't even know what that means, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm slowly but surely like putting together, like you said, you know, like it will be, you know, XRP is trying to be kind of replace Swift codes, but now you have, even though they wouldn't be direct competitors in doing the same things, you have JP Morgan coin that will be like settling its own bank transaction, so it won't need XRP. So even though it won't be a direct competitor, it still would kind of be taking away the use case of XRP. So we might have a pretty bloody battle on our hands brewing between XRP, which is, you know, a lot of people think that there's an IMF partnership come in with XRP, which is the International Monetary Fund, aka like kind of the banking arm of the world. So I don't know if I'm still trying to figure out, is this bad news for crypto? Is it bad news for XRP? It seems like it is bad news for XRP, but I'm still waiting for kind of all the reverberating effects and all the articles to be written about it so I can form like a real opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I need to know more before I'm like going to sit here and like close the case on this and just say, hey, yeah, this is BS marketing. But I don't think that I don't think that this is a real threat to XRP and what they're trying to do with XRapid, whether you agree with it or not, because this, based on what I know, based on what everyone knows, this is not going to solve the problems that are in the banking industry, period. It's just not going to. And I think that's what the statements that have been out there from crypto people is, you're missing the point. You don't actually understand what the problems are. And so building this, no matter what it is, isn't going to help you. And so I think that's the truth, and that's what you can take away from it. And I think the fact that they're doing this just brings more legitimacy to the fact that we need it. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that, some people have said that this might signal a bottom, that maybe when JP Morgan is coming out saying they made a coin, like maybe it's time for the markets to go back up, which earlier I was kind of alluding to maybe a change in the sentiment and things like that. And so, that's another one of those things that's kind of baked in. Like maybe we are kind of, we've been in this bear market for now 14 months. And so it's probably time. It's so funny, like the disbelief that occurs to where like none of us, it's almost like the grind of the bear market just makes it seem like the price will literally never go up again. Like, in your mind, you say, oh yeah, the price is going to go up. Sure, eventually. But when you're living kind of in the real time and the here and now, like it's hard to imagine like the price starting to go back up tomorrow,
Yeah. And I think people, that's the other thing. People are skittish. They get some small gain, right? They get a small kickback. And I'm sure they're thinking to themselves, like, I got burned so bad, I need to get out quick. So I would be curious, because I'm not on CoinMarketCap. I don't really follow that stuff all that closely. But if people are making like really short trades and they're buying in, getting a little bit, and then selling right back out, and that's why we're kind of stagnant in terms of cap. I don't know. That'd be more of a question for you and some of the other more trade savvy or knowledgeable people out there.
I just read about it every day. That's where my knowledge comes from. But it is crazy. I've talked about it a few times how, just by doing this channel and reading, news stories every day and looking at the market every single day, we look at Market Watch. We every day we check out the market. It is crazy just kind of how much you learn, through staring at it every day. It kind of by osmosis, it kind of starts to get in. But yeah, so I guess that's about it, man. We've been on for an hour and 4 minutes now. So you got any final thoughts or comments for the day?
So I have a couple people asking, general questions, and you guys throw some more in. One of the questions by Octoman PC: why not use Tether if you need liquidity? If you need a stable coin that can be shared, why not use Tether? Do you have an opinion on that?
Why would I personally not use Tether? Like personally?
Or rather, in the context of establishing a liquid system for banks to facilitate transactions between them.
Oh,
right?
Well, banks should not use Tether by any stretch of the imagination. Tether is dangerous. Bitfinex, there is a conspiracy that the Quadriga hack actually has something to do with Bitfinex, and maybe they were pulling money out as a shell company and, paying, withdrawals to customers from their exchange with the Quadriga money. That is a theory that a lot of people have right now. Tether is very dangerous. I think that what we've seen from stablecoins in general is not enough. If I was a CEO, where I would feel comfortable, hedging my bet in another stablecoin. We have a story from Gemini with their Gemini dollar. That's their stablecoin, where basically some of the larger customers for Gemini are saying they're having trouble cashing out their stable coins. So their stable coins right now, to me, are not stable enough. We need stable coins, double stable. So that's why we don't have that solution right now that is the standard, if you will, of stable coins, in my opinion. So maybe if we did have one that was a little more stable, like even True USD, like the thing I really don't like about True USD even which to me is probably the best one out there right now. But when they put that thing on Binance, it went up 35%. You have a stable coin that's supposed to be worth $1 that pumped to $1.35. Now, granted, like the next day it dropped back down to 105, I think, and then finally back down to $1. But
Yeah.
when you have something that can gain that much value that's supposed to be a stable coin, guess what it can also do?
Yep.
Lose that much. So
You're right.
yeah. So that's my opinion on it. I don't think Tether is a, I definitely don't think Tether is a solution for that. So
Yeah. I feel you on that. I'm not a big proponent of Tether myself. I mean, obviously the whole audit thing was just a mess.
yeah,
But I mean, I'm not the biggest stablecoin fan in general, to be honest.
me neither.
I don't think it's the solution, to be quite fair with you. I mean, first of all, you're pegging value to an already unstable. I mean, if the whole idea is you don't want to have reserves driving value of a currency, so why would you peg to it for liquidity
Yeah.
in like for a long term? I get it in the short term because you need to be able to cash out whatever. But I don't know. It like people are saying, oh, the stable coins are the future. Like that's not the point of stable coins.
Well, I think where stablecoins come in handy is in this transition from, if we're going to start using cryptocurrency as currency, as actual currency and not as an asset or as kind of digital gold, if you will, or digital oil. If we're going to actually use it as a currency, the volatility is never going to lend itself for that to be able to happen in a transactional way. So, Starbucks doesn't want you to pay $1 or, well, $5 for a cup of coffee, and then the next day that is worth $2 to them,
Yeah.
So, we need something in that transition, and that's where something like Backed is going to come in, where, you're going to be able to spend your crypto, and Monarch Wallet is doing the same thing, where you're going to be able to spend your crypto, but when it actually goes into the person's account, it actually somehow, I don't know the logistics of it, but it changes over to US dollar, right? So if we had a stable coins that were pegged to that dollar, it would probably make that process easier to where, if you spend, 0.1 Bitcoin somewhere, the place actually receives, whether it's through an exchange or a atomic swap, whatever it might be, they receive so much of that stable coin. Because right now, that's the big, like, yes, we're people like you and me that believe in the future of crypto. Like, yeah, we say, like, okay, we'll deal with the volatility, but a business doesn't really want to have to deal with that.
They don't. That's true. I mean, look, a lot of stuff's going to have to change, and it will. And the same thing happened with the internet. I think there are a lot of people out there who have examples of this where people are like, yeah, no one is ever going to buy. They're not going to pay for someone to ship something to you. Not going to happen. Look at how much we tolerate now. And then you have someone like Amazon who comes in and it's like, we'll ship it to you for free in 2 days. Stay in your underwear, hang out, do nothing. We got you covered, right?
Yeah, it's perfect.
So, well, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen with all this? Like it's my best guess. It's your best guess. No one has a clue.
I've kind of been leaning on the fact that I think that I don't know. I go back and forth, but I believe that probably Bitcoin is going to become more like gold than it's going to become like the US dollar. I mean, I think it just makes the most sense because people don't really want to spend it. It is going to become a store of value to where people are just going to hold on to it. And when you compare, Bitcoin to gold, when you really explain to someone who's not in crypto, like the difference between the rarity of gold compared to the rarity of Bitcoin, like it's astronomically different. So somebody made fun of me. Well, it happens all the time. It happened in middle school. That's why I hate it. But,
My entire life.
My entire life, But somebody was making fun of me because I reported on a story about asteroid mining, where basically in 2021, we're supposed to have a mission that's going to go to an asteroid that's flying around, I believe, Jupiter. And they believe there's enough gold on that asteroid to give every person on Earth like $9 billion worth of gold. Now, granted, it wouldn't be worth, if we all had $9 billion, $9 billion isn't worth $9 billion.
We'd be printing on it like paper.
Yeah. And part of the whole thing that they're saying is like, it's not, they don't want to go to space to mine all the gold to bring it back really. It's a lot of the other precious metals that asteroid has because as our technology advances, we need more precious metals than we have on Earth to continue to producing them. And then they say, well, if they do the mission in 2021, 2045 is going to be actually probably when they can actually send like a miner up there to start mining it. Somebody made fun of me. They said that asteroid mining is a big myth. Like it'll never really happen, or that it's impossible. But eventually with technology, it will be possible one day, but I don't know how, realistic it is. But the whole point is, just think, if there's that much gold on an asteroid up there, like how valuable really is gold? We might find some kind of like underground deposit that we didn't know existed tomorrow that will change the price of gold. With Bitcoin, there's nothing that can ever happen that can do that. We know exactly how many there are, and there will never be more other than how many are being mined at a rate that we understand what it'll be at. So,
right. And I think that fixed, and that's, I think, what makes, I was reading something about this earlier, but I mean, I think the scarcity, the part that makes people hold it and not use it is the fact that it's scarce. Like people aren't used to something with a fixed supply and the idea that nothing will ever be made again. Like you have these bands, artists, they're like, yeah, we have 100 pressings of this vinyl LP in this color, never to be produced again.
Yep.
And as soon as those sell out, they're like, JK, 200 more until they stop selling. But there's nothing like that in Bitcoin. People are like, I need to buy this. I need to hold on to it because it's like a novelty, right? So I think that's a barrier for people using it as cash, because as long as the sentiment is buy, hold, make a profit, no one's going to use it for anything. Yeah. And that harkens back to the dominoes thing. How many people are actually going to use their Bitcoin in the way that they expect when the sentiment is hold Bitcoin, you'll be rich? I don't.
Yeah. Well, I probably, when I first got into Bitcoin, when it was around $12, and I was buying it, I was using it to buy, to pay for a software. If I had not paid for that software, which I still use, so I would have done. But if I hadn't done that, like, I would have, whatever, I probably paid about $10,000 for that software over about a year period because I bought several versions of it. Just think about what that $10,000 worth of $12 Bitcoins would be worth today in the middle of the bear market, so that, I encourage my people to, especially once Monarch Pay comes out and people are able to pay their bills with crypto, like if you're going to pay your bills, like, wouldn't it be better if you're super into crypto to like have a certain amount of your paycheck, you move over to crypto to pay your bills with, and then you have your separate account that you hold. So, I don't know. It's really interesting to look at where, we basically have two different directions, whether it's going to be used as currency or as an asset. So,
yeah, I'm very comfortable not knowing what's exactly going to happen with it. I think that's half the fun of it. I'd be really bored if I'm sitting there like, nope, I know exactly what's going to happen. Let me tell you. It's just that's not my thing.
Yeah. Well, people pay me for my opinions. They pay me in views. They don't pay me in real money.
Yeah, they pay me in everyone's hard-earned time, man. We only have a limited amount of that. So I appreciate everybody who watches. And shout out Crypto Yoda for the super chat earlier. Thank you very much for that. I have a mortgage to pay.
I need to steal him over to the Bit Squad. Maybe he's getting super chats.
And I don't do paid token reviews, so I need to pay my mortgage.
Yeah. Crypto influencing doesn't pay real well right now.
No, it does not. But I don't really care about that, to be honest. No big deal. It's just fun.
It is fun, and it's fun to, eventually for everybody who's in crypto now, when the market goes back up, it won't matter how much we got paid for, crypto influencing, because I think we'll all do pretty well. So,
yeah, I hope so. I hope so indeed. But yeah, thanks so much for having me on, man. I mean, if there are any other topics we got to hit, I'm cool. But if not, we can release everyone back to their families.
Yeah, it's Friday night. Yeah. Don't y'all have to go watch TGIF? So what y'all are gonna do? Go watch Family Matters, and the Dinosaur Show, and Full House, right?
All the Friday night stuff. 21st century.
Crypto Cruisin' hit me with a super chat. He said he got referred to me by my friend Dusty Porter, who is who's a big time technology YouTuber. So he's actually how I got into making YouTube videos.
Dude, that's rad. Small world, eh?
Yeah, it is a small world. So appreciate that, man. So that is all we got for today. So thank you, Hashoshi, or Forrest, as you like to be called.
Forrest. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, and I guess we'll talk to you guys later.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Cheers. Have a great night.
BitBoy out.